So here we are in 2022, about 3 decades after lean thinking and practice were introduced to the world. And we've all learned a lot. We've learned that it's not easy to change. It's not easy not to change, because to not change means we will not survive. I think it was Dr. Deming many years ago noted that change is optional, and so is survival. So we simply must change as conditions change. And it was with that kind of realization in mind that about 10 years ago, a number of us began to look at the lean transformations of companies that we know and to analyze what kind of factors were in play that made them successful or not, no matter what culture they were from, no matter where in the world, no matter what industry. What were the factors of success? And one of the things we realized is that regardless of lean thinking or not, organizations, enterprises address a set of questions. They address them effectively, or they address them not effectively. But those are questions of what to do. I will make iPhones. I will make cars. I will provide healthcare. I will make coffee for my community. What they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and why. So we introduced this set of questions, and we called them the Lean Transformation Framework. It is a framework that any organization can use to take themselves then in more of a lean direction. So the issue is how you answer those questions. So it's been remarkable to know, as more companies have encountered this, how many will say, we were using, to use the word used, the Lean Transformation Framework before we ever heard of it. Because those are the fundamental questions. The first question of the framework is, we often say, what problem are you trying to solve? Or what is your purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing? What is your purpose? And then having defined that, you break that down into a more specific question of what situational problem are you trying to solve? And the nice thing about that question stated that way is that everyone in an organization can address it at their level. What problems are you solving that are in the way of your organization achieving its purpose? So we would argue that every organization is doing that. They have that question. In the case of lean thinking, we have some fundamental thinking that informs how we address that, which is we begin from value. So this is made clear in the original book of Lean Thinking that is now published about 25 years old, a little bit more than 25 years ago. Well, we begin from what is value for the customer? What is value for the community? What is value for your constituency? And the second question anyone asks is, what are you going to do to provide that value, to fulfill your purpose? How will you do the work? How will you make coffee? How will you make a car? How will you organize your emergency room in your hospital so people can come and receive care? How will you do the work? And that question also can be addressed at the higher enterprise level and at the micro level of each individual doing work. Logically from there is the question, now that we know what work to do, what we're going to do to fulfill our purpose, the question is simply, do we have that capability? I have the capability of making a fairly good cup of coffee. I do not have the capability of running an emergency room. So I would have to find some way of identifying the needed capabilities and then either acquiring them or developing those capabilities. And with the lean thinking regarding how to do the work, second question, or to develop the capabilities, we have some fundamental thinking. We would like to hire people that will stay with us forever. Of course, they may not, but our desire is people will come and stay, they will learn, and they will increase their skills, they will become masters at their skill, and then they will contribute to the organization for its long-term good. And it's only by designing work through which they can be effective and continually to grow that they're able to do that. We'd like all organizations to be kind of a school. So as I run my coffee shop or I build cars, it's kind of a school of how to become a better and better maker of coffee, a better barista, or better craftsman at making the cars or whatever product I make. Having addressed those fundamental questions, there's a question that people often like to go to first, which is, what is the role of leaders? What should leaders do? How should leaders act? And there's been consensus for decades that the old command and control type of leadership has limitations. It kind of doesn't work well in today's world. It makes things too rigid. You're not tapping into the creativity and resources of all the people in your organization. And so another way, rather than command and control, is to work in a way that's much more collaborative. It's highly more with more social and emotional intelligence. At any rate, you address the question then of how to develop a management system that will enable your organization to develop the capabilities it needs, for people to do the work they need to do to fulfill the purpose for the organization and for its community. So with lean thinking, we have a lot of work we've done on lean management systems on more of a higher level, like Hoshin Kanri, how we develop our strategy, our basic approach to fulfilling our purpose, and then daily management, so that leaders can do their work can help the workers do the work effectively. And then we had another question that many people don't address directly, but it's always there, which is, what are the fundamental mindsets, the fundamental thinking that informs your enterprise and the leaders, for sure, and everyone in it? Are we doing this just because we make a profit, get rich, and go buy an island and live on it forever? That's what someone could do. And I won't say that that's wrong, but that's not lean thinking. Lean thinking tries to create a sustainable organization, a sustainable enterprise that can both survive for the long term and thrive. So we think these questions are the natural ones that actually are in play in the background for every enterprise in the world. And lean thinking then informs how we can address those. So through it all, we're seeking ways to further understand and facilitate the adoption of lean thinking in practice everywhere. We have learned that lean thinking in practice applies to any sector, to healthcare, to coffee, to cars. It makes lives better for the people doing the work. It makes value better for customers. It makes jobs and economies stronger for communities. So the more widely we can get this adopted, we think the better off the world will be. And so the Lean Global Network now has, which is over 20 years old. And there are now over 30 countries involved, different institutes involved in promoting lean thinking and practice in their countries. And it's both fulfilling work that we do. It's a kind of missionary work. It's work where we're trying to assist people to learn a way of thinking and a way of working that makes things better for themselves. So as the world changes and gets more and more disruptions in the form of pandemics, in the form of economic ups and downs, in the form, unfortunately, of war, as we are seeing in a couple of places in the world, notably now in Ukraine, but war continues in other places as well. So as a human race, we still have much to learn. And we do think that lean thinking and practice then can focus us on what makes things better for all of us. And as we make things better for us, we have economic prosperity, which can liberate people, so that the old-fashioned ways of the 19th century of trying to take territory and trying to simply force your way onto others can melt away. Now, we don't know what the future will hold in that regard, but we do know that everyone who adopts this way of thinking and this way of working focuses themselves on ongoing lifelong learning and lifelong striving to provide greater value for their constituencies. It's a matter of understanding why we're here, what we want to accomplish as we work together, as we try to figure out what we need to do to fulfill our purpose, how we will go about it, answering those questions of why, and as we try to engage everyone in our system. So now the world is changing. We have new tools and technology, digital tools that both enable us to do things better. They're helpful aids, but they also present their own challenges. But challenges, what humans, can often do best if we can work together effectively. We're always stronger together than we are alone. As our good friend, actually, one of our institutes in Botswana, and the leader there, Sharon, is fond of sharing some African wisdom with us occasionally, and she shared one recently that is just so powerful. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And going together is something that I think alignment around what lean thinking and practices is, using the questions of the lean transformation framework, can be very helpful. This is something for each person. This isn't something just for enterprise leaders to do and find an effective way to introduce into companies. No. The question to ask as we think about the effectiveness of lean thinking and practice disseminating around the world isn't how many companies come to look like Toyota. There's only one Toyota. There will only be one. Every organization has its own unique situation. The question to ask is, how is each individual using lean thinking and practice to help their situation? That's true of CEOs, yes, who have a lot of influence over their organization. But it's true of each person, each vice president, each leader, each worker, each person. No matter what you're doing, this can help you solve the problems of your situation more effectively in a way that is more fulfilling to you as well.